Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown between two clan mates as DBD's very own Poison Ducky leads the Vampire Coast up against Geese Howard and his Beastmen Hordes. Notoriously a pretty bad matchup for Beastmen, I would say. They're very good at swarming and getting into the back lines of Coast, but at the same time, undeadly horrors do always tend to scare the big beast folk, and it is a super interesting build coming in from Poison Ducky. One of the reasons I wanted to showcase it today. So up in the air, we do have 4 units of the deck droppers. Very good in this matchup. Beastmen tend to struggle in the air game unless they brought a bucket ton of harpies. But more importantly, it is quad mortars. That's right, guys. We have 4 mortars down here on the ground. Certainly going to be able to bring the pain from the skies down upon the poor, lightly armoured Beastmen forces in general. Very good against Ungors, Gores, basically everything. And they're going to be protected by the zombie pirate deck hand mobs with polearms dotted on top of all of them. And in the central pocket, we have the Bloody Reavers, the regiment of renowned depth guard, who have one of the coolest looking, spookiest eyes in the game. If that was coming at you through the shadows, you'd be scared as well. They come in with Enrage, which gives them 44% damage resistance, which is pretty damn nice as well. We have 2 Gunnery Whites looking to boost up the accuracy and damage output of these mortars, and we have Count Noculus on foot. And Count Noculus is a very tanky, always has been, and still does remain to this day, an absolute grindy lord. We have Captain Roth's Moondial, as well as a Wraith Storm, Invocation Heck, and Raise Dead, so all the good stuff there. Really fun strategies going for. It's going to be interesting to see how those mortar shots do land. As for Geese Howard, the famous Beastman main, we do have Ungor Raiders dotted along the front line, looking awfully sneaky, although they are about to be caught out by some deck droppers. In the main battle line is going to be Ungor Spearheads, as well as a Chaos Spawn Rush, going at very old school and classical there, looking to ram his way into his opponent's front line and simply bulldozer over. We have one of the greatest and coolest picks I've seen in a while, Double Gorble. Gorbles, very cool units all round. I believe they had their time to shine in Total War Warhammer 1 and now are a little bit of a joke because of how they get flung around. But they can certainly bring a ton of damage output in quick bursts. Having 2 of them as well is really going to be able to take down some of those crabs and other big targets. They do, of course, have Blood Greed as well. Both of them coming in, apart from that, completely naked. We have some Minotaurs backing them up, as well as some Razorgore herds. And leading the force, we have Malagor the Dark Omen. A very cool guy, who again, you don't get to see terribly often, but looks like Geese Howard is certainly having some fun. His staff in particular is very well designed. Coming in with Arcane Conduit, Savage Dominion to summon those pesky Cygors, and Viletide. He can, of course, be a threat if you can protect him, and that tends to be the big problem. Mortar shots do now rain down from the skies already, doing some nice damage to the Ungor Raiders as well as the Ungor Spearman herd. But they're not going to be able to do too much, I don't think, to the Chaos Spawn, as well as those Minotaurs. Those Spawn have basically no armor, so maybe I'll be surprised by the amount of damage the mortars can indeed inflict upon them. And it looks like it's not too shabby so far. Ungor Raiders trying to push back the deck droppers, who are going to be harassing on approach. And those poor Ungor Raiders are the focus of attention, it would seem, as they are the only counter to the Air Force that the Beastmen have brought. So the mortar is going to be rain fired down in steady, consistent volleys. Quad mortar is absolutely disgusting. Look at this damage coming out of the gate. But of course, once the Beastmen reach those lines, it's going to be a different game entirely. Both the Gorbles are kind of vibing at the back for now, probably trying to escape some of the deck dropper fire before starting to push on a little more. Malagor as well is starting to catch up. Nice summon in the front line by the zombie pirate deckhand mobs, looking just to slow down the advance as much as possible and pin in these Chaos Spawn in position. The deck droppers are doing a really nice job harassing those guys. As you can see, they're already down to about half health. Beastmen being forced to come in a staggered approach as the Ungor Raiders had to stop to fire, and the Gorpals are a little bit lagging behind. Mortars do some really nice point-blank shots into the Ungor Spearheads, but a real big Viletide comes down, catching the mortar as well as one of the deckhand mobs, and this flank is all of a sudden going to be open, so the Bloody Reavers are sent in to do the Lord's good work, pinning these troops and really try to butcher them. Looks like a Scatterscape has come down, doing some nice damage as well. Both the Gorbles are continuing to push forward. Chaos Spawn really suffering, but Minotaurs and Razorgores are now getting in around this flank, away from where the Bloody Reavers did indeed make contact. So this is really good micro coming in by Geese Howard, where he can now swarm in and shut down the mortars, who aren't going to be too much use now the battle is so enclosed. Malagor the Dark Omen's being flung around a little bit, but he won't mind that too much as long as he's not being attacked by any of the nasty, larger, scarier creatures. Viletide coming down onto the Bloody Reavers, not doing too much damage to them. Wondering if that was Overcast or not. Overcasting's a little risky, of course, because Malagor himself is pretty low on the HP standard and can go down rather quickly. Big swarm coming around here. The Minotaurs, Chaos Spawn, Gorbles all jump on Count Noctilus. But as we said before, he is the epitome of a tank, and he's gobbling this up no problem, even summoning some more troops to his aid to laugh at the Beastmen attempts. Reservoir Herds have hopped on top of the mortars. Looks like they're going to be able to shut them down as the pirate deckhand mob polearms aren't doing the best job protecting either. They are indeed crumbling, while the deck droppers continue to rain fire down from above. A Cygor has been summoned into the world. It claws its way up from the undergrowth and is going to be looking to pin in Count Noctilus, who's very much surrounded now. But in come the Bloody Reavers. Enrage has been popped, and they're going to start to lawnmower their way through all these larger, bigger troops from the Beastmen. Elsewhere, Chaos Spawn are piling in, as is Malagor the Dark Omen. Ungor Spearhead slowly moving over to put pressure on the mortars. Viletide does come down on the summoned unit Gunnery Mob, trying to do as much damage and fling those guys around where possible. Count Noctilus is slowly going down. He's certainly taking his time dying, but is down to lost about a third health at the moment. Both Gorbles doing a fantastic job there. The Cygor getting in there and doing some nice damage as well. It's an absolute flustercluck in the centre of the battlefield. Deck droppers are eventually being dragged down, but they've used up a considerable amount of their ammunition at this point. Reservoir Herds are going to be coming back into the fray, as well as Chaos Spawn trying to shut down some of that extra fire. In the main fight, though, Gorble still going strong. Looks like Count Noctilus was healed up, though, by an invocation in the heck, as he's looking healthy once again. Cygor's doing some good damage onto this Gunnery Wight, but now the Gorble's probably very frustrated fighting Count Noctilus, because he's still doing decent damage to them, poking them down, and every time they hurt him, he seems to simply heal and come back once more. Malagor is continuing to be a pest where possible, although a Gunnery Mob has been summoned just behind the Gorbles, who are now being dragged down by the Bloody Reavers, who go about their butcher's work. One mortar, two mortars still online. Not that many good targets, but they can shoot into the retreating Beastmen forces, stopping them from coming back, and anytime one rallies, they can shatter them off for good. And it looks like the backbone of the Beastmen forces has been broken as the Gorbles retreat from Count Noctilus, and it shall be a Pyrrhic victory for the Quad Mortar build. Well played to both Poison Ducky and Geese Howard, a really fun and weird game all round, and that's the kind of games that are pretty good fun to cast, seeing builds that you wouldn't often get to see. Quad Mortar, certainly something I haven't seen before, and combined with the Bloody Reavers in that central portion to protect them, and a very tanky lord who has a ton of summons like Count Noctilus, I think it actually has a little bit of merit as well, although maybe it is slightly heavy on the mortar department. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll go through the damage value and damage dealt in just a second. Very excited to see how these Depth Guard did perform. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a big old thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe as well if you haven't already for more Total War Warhammer action. We're well on the way to 5k subs, where we'll do a special live stream and giveaway. And we've got loads of cool streams coming along. And if you want to keep up to date with all that good stuff, links down below in the description to my Discord. While I make announcements when I'm streaming, you can send me replays, get involved in the Total War Warhammer community, and see a load of pictures of really cool ducks. There's also links down below to my Patreon if you would like to support the channel. But apart from that, let's get on to the good stuff. Poison Ducky, the man, the myth, the legend, the duck, performing very well here. The Quad Mortars, let's see how they performed. 490 damage value here, 383, 357, 614. Now, they're pretty cheap as far as an artillery piece goes, but at the same time, that's not amazing work. But they pushed off a lot of the units that the Depth Guard would have struggled to deal with. Ungor Raiders and just swarms and swarms of Beastmen. Getting rid of those, so the rest of the build was just completely large, enabled then the Bloody Reavers to get 2,192 damage value, and basically, look at the health, basically untouched. 13,000 damage dealt. Very good performance by them. Likewise, up in the skies, the deck droppers, 510, 512, 584, 603 damage value, but it certainly does add up over the course of the battle. Also, just constantly damaging your opponent will obviously weaken them out quite a lot, and there wasn't too much which could touch them. The Zone Pyrodector mobs not doing too much. They're simply there to die, and they did that, relatively well and protected those mortars. Both the Gunnery Wights performed really well. 1,100 damage value on this one, 1,099 on the other. Both performing pretty good. Count Noctilus only 580. He was there just to be a tank and do the summons, and again, he fulfilled his job, so he may have not got his value back, but in terms of what he did on the battlefield, he certainly was a good choice. As for Geese Howard, I love the fact that he's kind of gone away from Morga the Shadowgrave and gone for something a little bit more fun and thematic like a Malagor the Dark Omen. 818 damage value, not too shabby. Those Viletides did come in quite handy. I think overcasting them may have been better, but at the same time, it is always the risk, because if you overcast and miscast a few times, Malagor just dies instantly, and it's an absolute nightmare. Both the Gobbles got in there and did some dirty work, over 1,000 damage value on this one, 656 on the other, but eventually when the Depth Guard came over to support, they were simply not enough to take down Count Noculus himself. The Ungor Spearheads kind of got obliterated, likewise the Raiders. Some of them got some okay value where they managed to get some shots into the deck droppers, but the Mortars really did kind of subdue this build for the most part. The Chaos Spawner as well, pretty abysmal damage value across the board. Oh no, 88, 171, 324, 347. Just really struggling to get through that many polearms, and there wasn't that much they had to swarm into to get into the back line. It's just when they got there, the Depth Guard were quite happy to chew through them. Minotaurs performing a little bit better as well. But well played to Geese Howard to making that one a good fight, despite the fact I think the builds heavily favoured Mr. Poison Duckies. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.